What is going on, guys? It is Saturn Reaper here, and we are back again. I'm going to bring you guys one of the most controversial videos I'll probably do on this channel by far. And the first thing I'm going to hit you with is facts. So the thing that we're going to be talking about here today is the change from V8.2.0, where they decided that, hey, we are going to revert our 50 health on elimination, our 50-50-50 materials, our 500 material cap, and the 40% harvesting rate. Okay, that happened in the last update. There has been an unbelievable amount of uproar about it, but I'm going to bring you guys cold hard facts on why this could have happened no matter what. Number one, if we look at V7.40, when this actually came to the game, you guys can read right here. We're introducing a few larger changes into the default Fortnite playlist as a test. It is clear-cut stated in the patch notes from V7.4 that it was a test, no matter how you see it. We've seen these settings and pop-up cup results in more engaging fights and allowing players to gain more consistent rewards for the risk of engagement. So why are people getting so mad when we knew it was a test? We didn't know how long it was going to last. We didn't know what they were going to do with it. And then when they say that their data has concluded that it does not work and it led to aggressive playstyles, it literally says right here, we implemented it and we've gathered a necessary info to conclude this initial test. We feel it has info to conclude this initial test. We feel it has resulted in an unhealthy level of aggressive play, diminishing other viable strategies. This is literally what a test does. A test is to see what the outcome will be. They let this slide for almost an entire month. Oh no, how long was this in the game for? Almost 2 months. Almost 2 months they allowed this to be tested for them to see what the community was feeling about it. And yes, there was a lot of positive feedback. Of course there's going to be positive feedback. But when you look at the cold hard facts, you cannot be mad when it was a test and when we didn't have it before. This is the biggest argument I'm going to make here today, is that when we didn't have it before, we were playing the game still. So what's the difference when we don't have it now? That's the thing. I don't care what you say when you say that, oh man, the game is so much better. Like, why would you revert the change? Obviously, I understand that. But you also have to understand that for some reason, at some point, you were playing this game and you got better without the change. And then when that change came around, maybe you got worse. Maybe you did get better. Whatever the case may be. But you understand that you are still playing the exact same game that you started with. For 7 seasons, you played this game without Siphon. 7 seasons. And I don't understand why there's so much uproar from a change that was listed as a test that got put into the game for 2 months. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm actually not pulling an April Fool's prank on you guys. I should specify that. This is not April Fool's. I'm being so serious. I'm going to defend this change for the life of me. Now, we're going to actually look at a few examples of what other people are saying. So Ninja throws up a poll and it says, regarding the last Fortnite patch, revert or don't revert. If you vote don't, please reply why. Don't revert. 13%, 87% revert. We're 324,000 views. And you guys could say, oh, that is a clear-cut example of why it matters. But this is only accounting for a small player base. There is almost, what was the concurrent players listed? Over 3 million concurrent players. This is only, and I'm not going to even try to get the math right. I think it's 10%. I don't want to be wrong about that. But again, this is only a small percentage, and this is only accounting for a certain group of people. I specified on Twitter that Epic has to account for its casuals, its competitive players, and then its kind of like middle ground average to above average players. Those are the 3 players that they have to account for. Their casuals have been pushed out of this game. When the health per kills was in the game, literally they were pushing their casuals out. Their casuals were getting destroyed. It doesn't matter if you give a casual, the advantage of a little bit of shield off spawn. The good players are going to destroy those players. Now you're going to say like, oh, that's going to happen in any game. It doesn't matter. But what I noticed recently, and this is my own take of what I've watched over the last week, pretty much, because it's almost been a week since this patch came out. What I've seen in the last week is that good players, good competitive players are able to be killed. That's what this game needs. There needs to be an opportunity for you to be able to kill a good player no matter how bad you are. That's what the game has to keep in the game. If you give health per kills on elimination, you're giving good players the opportunity to build momentum that is unstoppable in these lobbies. Unstoppable. And it doesn't matter. I'm an average player. I get momentum, yes, of course, but I still will get killed by average, above average players. I will find most of my lobbies are stacked with players who are better than me. But when I'm given the opportunity to not have, say, shield per kill, and to not have the extra mats, and to see that, hey, I'll find someone in my lobby who is white health, who I can flesh, who I know that is maybe 2 or 3 taps, but is going to be a good player, but is killable. That makes me feel confident. When I go up against a player who I know is going to be 200 shield, 200 health, I'm going to have, 500, 500, 500 mats because they killed 2 people already off spawn. They're already able to build significantly more than me because maybe I didn't play as aggressive off spawn. And this is from the standpoint of just above average player. You guys have seen my channel, and it's not like I'm a bad player. This is from the standpoint of someone who's at least above average, an average player who does well in certain games. I think that being able to kill good players is a good thing no matter what skill level you are. And that's something that they were trying to figure out for the last not even 7 seasons. I'd say more so for 4 seasons. They were trying to figure out, hey, how can we add in things that make it so that the worst player in the game can still kill the best player in the game? That's why we had items like the guided launcher. We had the quad launcher was in the game. We had swords. We had the P90. There's a bunch of different weapons and things and items that were added into the game that were meant to give advantages to lower level players so that they could be able to compete against strong players. Now, moving on to another perspective here, the Kotes. Imagine you've been starting fires with a stick for a year plus, then one day someone puts a lighter in your hand. You start fires faster, things are quicker, and you get stuff done. Now, imagine that person takes the lighter away and hands you back the stick and says, just testing. I respect that, and I don't understand, again, the Kotes, amazing people. These are all amazing people. I'm not trying to bash them for their opinions. Everyone's entitled to opinion. I'm giving you guys an opinion. However, you have to look at this and say, listen, for that year that we had the stick, was a good year. That's facts. The 2 months that we had the lighter, yeah, it was better, but it doesn't mean it was the end of the world when it gets taken away. I would never look at this and say, oh, like right now, listen, here's an example, real life example. I will explain to you guys. I've recorded 600 videos on a 2015 MacBook. That's literally facts. I've recorded 600 videos on a 2015 MacBook. And now, if someone were to hand me a good PC, I'd be like, oh, this is so much better. This is great. But I would definitely not feel bad for going back to my MacBook and saying, hey, this is where I started at. This is where I came from. And I appreciate that. And that's going to make me who I am. It gives me character. And it's honestly, it makes me want to work harder because I'm using less expensive equipment, because at some point I'm hoping to get to that point, maybe at some point. And even if I don't get to that point, I still know that I put the work in some senses. So that's a real life example. If someone were to give me a nice PC, of course I'm going to enjoy it. If they were to take it away, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not gonna say, oh, my channel is ruined, it's over, I can never do this again. I'm just gonna go back to using my MacBook and making videos the same way I did for a year and 3 months. Like, there's no difference. So when we move on to another opinion here, and I think Daquan's is the one I like the most in some senses, because it does kind of touch on what they did in the history, but also kind of touch on the mechanics now. So one day game developers will realize that you can't protect noobs from getting bopped. You add ranked, people will smurf. You separate casual and ranked, people will just go bot farming casuals. You try to change game mechanics to save them, you ruin your game. History doesn't lie. And yes, this is true, but in the same sense, you also are looking at this as, hey, listen, you're excluding the fact that at one point, Epic's main goal, again, was to make that casual player, the worst player in the lobby, be able to kill the best player in the lobby, whether it was with the minigun, the quad launcher, the guided missile, the C4, whatever it took, that person had an opportunity of killing the better player in the lobby. If you were a good player, you were able to be skillful enough to kind of avoid most of these things. Again, you get killed here and there. Obviously, there's going to be an opportunity for someone to kill you, to third party you, stuff like that. It happens. And it wasn't like third partying was going away because health on kills was happening. Yes, players were surviving longer, but the good players were surviving longer. The good players were surviving the entire game, which is why when I first had a video, I think shortly after the update dropped, I had a video that came out that said, oh man, this is a stacked lobby, incredible players, a scrim. That's how it felt, because that's how good the players were in the lobby, because those players were surviving the game. If I were in a normal match, and I would expect before the update, I expect for there to be 2 to 3 good players to survive after the first wave of people die. So the first 25 people, I expect 3 good players to survive out of that 25. Then there's another 75 players to account for. Another 50 of those players are average players to below average players. The rest, the extra 25, there's a few skillful players in that pool that will most likely kill the 3 from the other 25. So then you end up with 1 to 2 good players at the end of the game. 1 to 2 to 3 good players. You end up with 4 or 5 average players, and then you may have 1 top tier player who is somewhere in the game still. That's how a lobby should be, and it shouldn't feel like when you're going into late game that you have no chance. That's literally, I never explained to you guys how I felt. I felt like I had no chance. As a decent player. I felt like late game I could not breathe and I had no chance, and I was scrambling to save my life in the last circles. I never had too many games that went to the very last circle, and you guys saw in our last couple videos there that we had games that were going down to moving circles. I rarely had games that go down to moving circles. That's scary to me because I don't know how to play like that, because that's what good players play with, maybe in some situations. But when the lobbies get stacked and you have so many good players, you end up having these games that become so competitive that it kind of removes the core fun of the game. That's what I'm losing here. And here we go with our last piece of information, and that is just not even information. It's just to look at how everyone in the comments is just saying revert, 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 revert. Use me as a dislike for recent patch. Like to undo the patch. Are you also aware that your game is terrible? Like to revert the patch. Also permanently enable match shield per kill. Like for health per kill. I mean, this is tons of people just constantly commenting this in their posts. Revert, revert, revert is in every single post that they made recently. And it's just interesting to see, guys. I want to know what your opinions are. And I promise you guys, this is not an April Fool's joke. I mean this wholeheartedly, that this patch needs to stay. There needs to be a line drawn for when you whine and when you think that you are right after a patch comes out. You can't live with it. It has to be changed. You don't want to adapt. You don't want to work with it. You don't want to stream because you think it's not fun, because that's your opinion immediately after. You're not open to changing your ideas. I get it. There's good players here in the community who have built up their career and they want to see nothing but the best for the game. I understand that, but you also have to see that you will survive this moment as they learn and grow and figure out a way to change the test, to figure out a way to implement it permanently. They took the data. They know what they want to do. And now people are going to call them out. I'm sorry if this is turning into rant, but people are going to call them out for their data and say, oh, there's just data, but it never gave us any information. They're not responsible to give you information. Epic doesn't have to give you that information. Yes, they're transparent with us, and they come into a trap of being too transparent where people expect them to give them that kind of information. And I don't think they're going to tell us everything that they need to tell us sometimes. Sometimes you have to trust what they say and then move along. Literally, that's it. I don't understand why we get so hung up and so stuck up on so small things when there's so many greater things to happen in the game and so many things that can happen in the future. It's not like this patch is the last patch the game is ever going to get. There's going to be another patch that's going to change things, that's going to change settings, and they can re-implement things they want. 25 health, 25 mats. That's perfectly fine. They could do that if they wanted to. So a different game mode. Maybe keep the Siphon LTM in the game for people who want to play and put solos, duos, and squads rotating. Maybe that's something that they have to do. I'm not really sure where they want to go with it or how they want to figure it out. And I think Arena was a good place to start. But I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't want to ramble on for too long. I feel like this video is somewhere around 15 minutes of me talking to you guys. But this is all serious thoughts. I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that this is serious thoughts. Don't change 8.2. Epic, if you're listening, don't change 8.2. Leave it as is and watch and see what the player base does when you don't change it. See what the world does when you don't change it. I think that you're going to keep a lot of people. I think there was still, and one other point here, there was still over 200,000 people watching Fortnite this past Saturday. Yeah, it was the Lux copy. Yeah, it was competitive. Yeah, it was 50 shield on kill and 50 mats, but it was still Fortnite, and people were still interested. You're not losing a player base. You're not losing the players just because the core modes aren't that fun. There's still people who want to watch the game. There's still people who care about the game. Over 200,000 people, over 100,000 people were just watching Tfue play. And yes, he's one of the best comp players, and maybe that's not a good statistic to use, but there's people still interested, and that's people that care. Okay? That's my point. There's people that care no matter what happens. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed the rant as a whole. And honestly, if you guys agree with me, disagree with me, let me know. If there's any point in this video that you want to just quote and put it down in the comments, I will respond to everyone who comments on this video. You will get a response from me because I would love to kind of give you guys my take on things and understanding. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, sub, share, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.